In his garage, Charlie is fixing the plane his wife Sarah gave him for his birthday. Sarah interrupts to say she's leaving soon for a business trip to London. She invites him once again to join her, but Charlie declines due to heavy workload. Later, Charlie arrives at CIA headquarters. While heading to the decryption and analysis wing, he passes through multiple security systems he personally designed and then begins working. Unexpectedly, he receives a message from Inquiline, a secretive contact he's dealt with for years. Like always, they offer sensitive intel for sale, though this time Inquiline warns the files could jeopardize the CIA. Charlie tries guessing their location, suggesting Istanbul, but Inquiline evades the question. Charlie then begins analyzing the files, but the code proves too difficult even for him. After a lunch break, Charlie returns to work and receives a call from Sarah, who has already landed in London. But Charlie already knows. He's been tracking her. They don't speak long since he's eager to resume decoding the mysterious files. Unable to solve the encryption, he moves his laptop to a restricted lab where an advanced system assists him. Eventually, he cracks it and is horrified. The documents reveal a drone strike masked as a suicide bombing, approved and covered up. News footage reports 150 deaths, including French troops and US Marines. The operation was led by Chief Moore, Charlie's boss. That night, Charlie tries calling Sarah but she doesn't pick up, so he leaves her a voicemail. The next morning, Charlie is surprised to see Moore waiting for him at work. Moore escorts him to new director O'Brien's office. She reveals there was a terrorist attack in London, and Sarah was among the victims. Charlie denies it and wants to call her, so Moore turns on the news. A reporter describes how 4 terrorists stormed a hotel, took 4 hostages, and killed 2. Moore then shows hotel footage confirming Sarah was among the dead. When Charlie gets home, reporters swarm his house while police try to control the crowd. A friend helps Charlie enter his home quietly. The next day, Charlie confronts Moore and Caleb, suspecting foul play. He doubts terrorists bypassed London's extensive surveillance or drove freely through traffic. Moore insists on an investigation, but Caleb sends Charlie home. Later, Charlie retrieves Sarah's body and suitcase at the airport. At home, he finds a gift from Sarah, which causes him to break down emotionally. Feeling trapped, Charlie returns to work and uses the restricted system to access hotel and street cameras. He pieces together the attack timeline and shares his findings with leadership. The attackers stole a car, entered via the hotel service door, and erased all traces. They had a scheduled meeting with Impact Investments from Indonesia, but tensions rose in the hallway. A terrorist shot a guard dead and severely injured another. Hotel security alerted authorities immediately. Cornered, the attackers took hostages in a conference room. Sarah was captured while helping others flee. Charlie analyzes video and audio, confirming the terrorists' identities. They include Mishka from Moscow, ex-South African operative Lawrence, mercenary Horst, and former spy Gretchen. Charlie realizes Moore and Caleb already knew this when they show no surprise. They say the case is ongoing and suggest Charlie see a therapist. The next day, Charlie hides a chip in his ID badge, sneaks through security, prints the classified files, and uses a skimmer to create a digital copy. That night, he sits in a bar staring at a jukebox. In the morning, Charlie confronts his bosses using the printouts. He lists Moore's crimes, including bombing a Syrian hospital and a friendly base in Yemen, causing mass civilian deaths. He says he's triggered a dead man switch. Unless he inputs a code every 5 hours, the data will go to major news agencies. In return for silence, he demands CIA training, cash, weapons, fake IDs, and intelligence on Sarah's killers. Afterward, Charlie vomits in his car from stress. At headquarters, Moore thinks it's a bluff, but Caleb warns they can't risk it. If the switch is real, they must locate it before staging an accident during Charlie's training. Meanwhile, they examine how Charlie stole the files. They consider that a skimmer might have copied data from the printer, not the secure systems. Reviewing footage, they find Charlie bought a magnetic strip, though it's unclear how he smuggled it in and out. Agents search Charlie's home and discover he visited a bar twice. There, they inspect a jukebox and find an ABBA CD. Caleb selects the CD, hears static, and collects the disc Charlie secretly planted. Meanwhile, Charlie reaches the CIA training base, greeted by Colonel Henderson. On the shooting range, Charlie struggles and must get close to hit targets accurately. However, he's exceptional at building explosives, earning Henderson's admiration. Charlie is then drilled on his new identity. Henderson yells and manhandles him until Charlie recites it under pressure. Finally, they prepare the forged passports. That evening, Henderson visits Charlie's room and tells him he isn't a killer. Charlie insists he wants justice. Henderson then hands him a gun and asks him to aim at his chest, but Charlie's hands shake too much, and he lowers it. At CIA headquarters, the team decodes the CD and realizes Charlie was bluffing about the dead man switch. They alert their superiors, unaware Charlie is listening through a bug planted inside the documents, disguised as a chip in his ID badge. Moore calls Henderson and orders Charlie's arrest, but he's already vanished. After ending the call, Moore notices the bug and contacts Charlie to accuse him of treason. Charlie tosses his earpiece and boards a flight. Upon arriving in London, Charlie clears customs and begins heading toward Paris. When his fake passport pings the CIA system, Moore dispatches Henderson. In Paris, Charlie rents a room near Gretchen's usual dining spot. Gretchen eventually appears, allowing Charlie to track her phone. He spends the day outside her apartment and enters when a tenant exits. Inside, he uses an online guide to pick her lock, searches the place, photographs her schedule, and finds a gun which he keeps. As his tracker shows Gretchen returning, Charlie flees to the stairwell. But once she's home, he can't shoot. Disheartened, he returns to his hotel, pretending Sarah is with him. Reviewing the pictures, he sees Gretchen frequents a hospital. He hacks her medical records and discovers she has allergies. The next day, Charlie buys flowers and trails Gretchen to the hospital. She undergoes tests, but when the doctor steps out due to a computer issue, Charlie, disguised as a doctor, locks her in the scanner. As she panics, he fills the chamber with pollen and demands Horst's location. She can't respond, so he opens the machine, only for Gretchen to attack. They fight across the room, crashing into furniture. Charlie pulls his gun, but she knocks him down and escapes. He chases her outside, but before he can shoot, she's hit by a car. Shaken, he approaches her body to retrieve her phone, then flees and disposes of the lab coat. At the hotel, he cleans the blood and packs. That evening, he buys a bus ticket to Marseille. The CIA hears of Gretchen's death. O'Brien questions Moore, who says it looks like internal sabotage. That night, Charlie drinks heavily, haunted by guilt. He sees someone who resembles Sarah dancing but realizes it's not her. Then Henderson appears, prompting Charlie to flee. He pushes through the crowd and hides in another bar. Henderson follows, so Charlie locks himself in the bathroom. With no window, he exits and meets Henderson at the bar. Henderson tracked him through Gretchen's phone. After a brief conversation, Charlie reveals a timer and dashes out just as the bathroom explodes. Amid the chaos, Henderson loses him. The next morning, Charlie contacts Inquiline for help and boards a cargo plane to Turkey. In Istanbul, he texts her from a restaurant. Spotting a man's phone ring, Charlie approaches but is stopped by a woman who tells him to check his phone. Outside, the woman reveals she's Inquiline. She knows about Sarah and instructs Charlie to hide his gear. He should shop and meet her later at a garage. Later, she drives him to her home. Along the way, she explains she became a hacker after her husband died. He was a CIA asset and Russian spy, the original Inquiline, who taught her everything. Officially, he fell from a window. At her home, she says it's the only place she's lived longer than 3 years. She's exhausted from running and has a gun ready if the Russians find her. They turn to the case. Horst is the mercenary recruiter. Lawrence is an arms dealer, and Inquiline offers to impersonate one to reach him. Mishka travels often and posts a lot. They identify a woman in his photos, trace her to Instagram, and confirm she's in Spain. Caleb's team is ordered to monitor terrorists to locate Charlie. O'Brien meets Moore and warns him to stop unauthorized black ops. Moore claims her predecessor said the same, and he gave them his full support too. Afterward, O'Brien's assistant shows her a photo of Henderson in Spain, Moore's doing. She sends her own agent. Meanwhile, Charlie and Inquiline hack hotel cameras and locate Mishka. Charlie travels to Madrid and checks into the same hotel. He learns Mishka enjoys swimming in a rooftop pool linking two towers. Henderson is also nearby. Charlie builds a device and hides it at the hotel. At the bar, he spots a familiar face and realizes he's being watched. Inquiline identifies the man as CIA and sees Henderson approaching. She tells Charlie to abort, but he continues. When Mishka enters the pool, Charlie threatens to destroy it unless he talks. Mishka swims away, so Charlie cracks the glass. It shatters, and Mishka falls with the flood. Inquiline warns Charlie of the incoming agents and guides his escape. Henderson nearly catches him but is tackled by the other agent. They fight in a laundry room. Henderson slams the man into a washer. The agent shoots, but Henderson disarms and kills him. Charlie hesitates to help but flees at Inquiline's reminder. The next day, O'Brien brings Moore in and asks about Charlie. Moore claims he's on bereavement leave. She later reviews hotel footage. Caleb's team also studies it and discovers Charlie had help. They decrypt his chats and trace Inquiline to the deceased agent's wife. That night, Charlie and Inquiline sleep near each other for comfort. Birds wake them. Agents are approaching. They escape through a tunnel and see a drone overhead. They flee into another building and escape just before agents storm the house. Their system auto-deletes files. Running down the beach, they reach Inquiline's car. A drone spots them. Agents attack with boats and gunfire. The chase ends when their car is hit. Inquiline is fatally wounded. Charlie moves her body and drives until he loses them. Later, he hides the car and says goodbye. The next day, Charlie contacts Lawrence posing as an arms dealer. He buys electronics and travels to Romania. In an abandoned building, he records a video and hacks Berlin's feed. The CIA now thinks he's in Berlin and follows the bait. Lawrence arrives, finds a ringing phone and a box of bombs. Charlie appears and asks for Horst's location, promising to disarm the bombs. Lawrence reveals Horst operates in Russian waters and uses a Baltic port. To contact him, his men use encoded messages stored in his phone. Charlie retrieves the phone and walks away. The bombs kill Lawrence. The CIA discovers his death and realizes the Berlin footage was fake. In a Russian hotel, Charlie imagines Sarah and opens her gift, a puzzle with a loving message. The next morning, Charlie visits the port and spots a suspicious car. He texts the code, sees a man react, and photographs his boat. Back at the hotel, Charlie uses the registration to locate the yacht and study Horst's sea routes. The next day, he approaches the yacht but is ambushed and drops Sarah's puzzle. He wakes aboard the yacht and meets Horst, who found the earlier bomb. Horst says Charlie isn't a killer and offers him a gun. Charlie can't do it and sets it down. Then, the yacht suddenly redirects. Panic spreads. Charlie reveals he hacked the CIA yacht and set it to sail to Finland. The Finnish Navy and Interpol arrive and arrest Horst and his crew. Later, O'Brien announces the takedown of CIA agents abusing power. Henderson tells Charlie he's proud of him. After visiting Sarah's grave, Charlie finally takes the plane out for a flight.